Kano is multi-purposed. You can do a couple of things with him. He always has to have that mean streak to him, but I'd love our favorite, most violent Australian. Is he the most violent Australian? Australians, let me know. Hey, what is up? It is Matt McMuscles, and we are here again for my patented Make the Lineup. Please don't sue me, Thorgy. Anyway, with Mortal Kombat 1, kind of given the axe, given the fatality a little bit earlier than most people expected, I thought it was high time to sort of envision my own version of Mortal Kombat with the characters that exist. Of course, I'm not smart enough to come up with my own OCs. Maybe you out there are, but not me. So I thought it would be fun to sort of think of my own Mortal Kombat Dream lineup. So we have quite a few slots to fill, so let's get started. Yeah, there we are. All right, this might take a little while for me to go through, but thankfully through the power of editing. All right, no, I'm just kidding, obviously. We have 30 slots to fill. I think 30 is a great starting lineup for most fighting games. You don't get that very often, but I think for Mortal Kombat, for such a huge roster, it's a good starting point. So I'm gonna go with my main protagonist first, which is Kung Lao. I'm a big Kung Lao fan, and I'm actually gonna have him replace Liu Kang. Spoilers, Liu Kang a maniacs. I do not have Liu Kang in my roster. I loved when he was gone from Deadly Alliance for that one game. Then he just came back in Deception, and they're just like, yeah, we weren't really serious about that. And then he just came back for every other game. But I just like Kung Lao more. I just think he has a bit more edge to him. And bonus points, they could even bring back the great Kung Lao. I thought that's what we were going to get in MK1, but sadly we did not. I just find him a bit more interesting than Liu Kang, and I like him being put in the position of the new main character. He was kind of that in Mortal Kombat 1, but not really at all. It was kind of defaulted to Raiden, didn't they? So you're gonna hear some Mortal Kombat 1 takes from me. Some things I like what they did with the characters, and some that I don't. Kung Lao was kind of middle of the road. I didn't hate what they did with him. I didn't love what they did with him. But in my Mortal Kombat, Matt's Mortal Kombat, MK, he's going to be my go-to guy. He's going to be the anchor point for the Earth Realm. Next up, get over here! Scorpion, you just gotta have him. The one time they didn't have Scorpion was Mortal Kombat 3 Vanilla, and people hated it. So I don't think in good conscience you can have a Mortal Kombat game without Scorpion. And I would prefer regular Hellspawn Scorpion. Again, it was middle of the road what they did with him in MK1. I didn't love it, but I think he was a little bit actually a lot less interesting. But yeah, I just want a Hellspawn Spectre again, and I don't want him grappling with human emotions and stuff. I just want him to be like a straightforward, simple badass. We can have other characters filling that role. They did that with Scorpion for a good few games, so I think if they're gonna do something new again, you should maybe go back to the old style of Scorpion. And spears, spitting out fire, just having a weird sexy skull face, all the good stuff. And by that measure, you have to have Chili McFreeze in there for sure. You just have to have a nice character in Mortal Kombat, whether it be Sub-Zero or Frost or what have you. I think there's one other ice-based character. It's thrown in there somewhere. I don't know. Probably in mythologies or some shit. Anyways, you just gotta have the two nowadays. I think it would be criminal to not have both ninjas in there. Again, they are a highlight. They're like the Kens of Mortal Kombat. People are like, but where's Scorpion and Sub-Zero? I don't get it. So you absolutely have to have them, and I would like them to do something fresher with Sub-Zero specifically. Scorpion, I'm fine with them being, stuff that they've done before, but for Sub-Zero, I'd like to see something a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly what. That's up for Ed Boon to decide. We missed Sonya in MK1. She was not included other than a cameo, so I'd like her to be in there. I think, just a Mortal Kombat 1 OG original Mortal Kombat 1992 arcade Sonya Blade in there. I would like her to maybe be like new on the Special Forces team. Like she's not super experienced yet, and she's like rediscovering this, almost like the Johnny Cage, where it's like, hey, what's going on? What's all this shit? I don't understand again. Because yeah, she's just getting more and more experience as time has gone on, as tournaments have gone on. So yeah, I'd like a little bit of a fresher approach with her personally. And I would love it if Ronda Rousey was kept 1,000 miles away from her. Thank you.
How do I earn your respect?
Hello, baby. I've studied all your moves, so that's why I'm standing next to you. So, yeah, I actually really enjoy Kano and MK11. I think they did a great job with him. He was just such a badass in that game specifically. He was fine in MKX as well, but I kind of think they hit their Kano stride in MK11, just having both the younger and older versions of it. I liked it. And you could even have that weird Mad Max version from the Mortal Kombat Snowblind animated movie. He was like the fucking main bad guy in that, and he made for a good one. So you could just have him be the criminal antagonist to Sonya's Special Forces, or you could have him even be like a bigger threat, like an upper lieutenant, general, whatever you want to call it, fighting on the bad side. Or you can even have him play an in-betweener role. I don't know. The Kano is multi-purposed. You can do a couple of things with him. He always has to have that mean streak to him, but I'd love our favorite, most violent Australian. Is he the most violent Australian? Australians, let me know. Speaking of violent Black Dragon, we have Cabal. Big fan of Cabal. I didn't really like his voice acting and a bit of his attitude in MK11. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Black Dragon or Red Dragon? Red Dragon all the way. Wrong answer, future me.
I like him being more of a Phantom of the Opera type, like a tragic figure, you know? There's something about this that's kind of interesting. I would like him to be a good guy, if that makes any sense. Like, he's very rarely in a good guy position. I think in MK3 and maybe Mortal Kombat Deception he was. But again, he could have been like on either side at the end of the day. Maybe he could just be a bad guy on the Black Dragon side, and then he like goes over to Sonya's crew, joins her. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Cabal. He just has to have a weird mask, and he has to be broken as fuck. That's the Cabal promise. Nightwolf. He was big missing in MK1, I kind of found. He didn't even get a cameo, if I recall, but he probably played a pretty big role in MKX and MK11, but I'd like to see him return, maybe with like a rebooted origin, look, attitude, that type of thing. I kind of prefer like him not being, because he's kind of overpowered in the other games. I kind of found, like, in terms of story, I'd like to maybe to be like that same sort of Sonya role where he's like, hey, this is some weird shit going on, I don't know. He's just being introduced to the world of Mortal Kombat, and you can kind of see him more like inexperienced and grow to be like an even better fighter, that type of thing. Not just always the wise shaman that they always make, you know, these types of characters and everything. So I would like to see that for sure. I think since, again, he wasn't in MK1 at all, it'd be high time for his return. I was a big Nightwolf fan in MK3. I thought he was super cool. So yeah, he'd be he'd be like an underrated Dark Horse MVP of this roster to me. All right, we got Miss Jade coming in next. So another little spoiler, not spoiler, I do not have Kitana in my roster just because Kitana has been a big focus in pretty much all of the Mortal Kombat since 9. She was missing in Deception, technically in Armageddon, but ever since then in modern NetherRealm games, she's always had a big role. I think maybe like let her sit this one out for a bit and put Jade in there. She was missing super bad from MK1, and she wasn't in MKX. She did come back obviously from this render in MK11, but yeah, I think people would be well down for Jade's return. Yeah, maybe like a fresh new origin for her as well. You know, again, this kind of dream game of mine, I'm kind of thinking in my head it would be like a reboot, right? Like don't discount Liu Kang's Mortal Kombat universe. I think that well has kind of unfortunately been poisoned, even though I like some of the things they did there. But yeah, I think for just going forward, just to make it clear, I think this would be a reboot game. Just from the ground up. I don't know. Just say, hey, this is the first Mortal Kombat tournament and we're just going back to fuck it. Just who cares about all that stuff before? You know, fighting games, they don't have to have the tightest continuity. And Mortal Kombat really doesn't with portals and time travel and rebooted universes and such. But yeah, I'd like to see Jade back. She would be another strong pick for my roster. Big Kenshi fan ever since the 3D era games, and I like what they did with him in a Mortal Kombat 1. Actually, I liked him being friends with Johnny. I liked him being kind of like not the stoic martial arts master that he was kind of always, ever since his debut. I'm not sure if I'd want to keep the telekinesis powers. Maybe do something different with his power set, just for variety's sake. Do you know why? Because I want Ermac back in there as well. He's just too much of a cool character. I would really dial back on the wizard stuff. I would try to make him a bit more of a mysterious ninja, because they're kind of going this necromancy, wizarding route. I don't really know what to call a mage, maybe. But yeah, maybe do something completely fresh with Ermac. I just think that's a cool name. His origin is always like amazing, coming from a fan perspective rumor and then just being made into a real boy. But yeah, I would really do want both these characters in a roster, but I would like them to make a little bit more difference than they've had in previous games. Like, I know they've kind of done a stand thing with Kenshi. Either lean into that even more, or maybe even take the telekinesis powers or tweak them a little bit for Ermac. Something to that effect. And before you all come for me, yeah, you should probably have Melina. Let's just make sure she's there. It's kind of important. Yeah, I actually didn't mind what they did with her in Mortal Kombat 1. I think it was a nice spin on her while still keeping her very much her. I kind of like the Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing they were doing with her. So you could do that again. I don't know. Or you could just do a fresh new thing. Maybe she gets like scarred up like Cabal or something. She's like, you know, maybe she has like a Vega sort of thing where she's like, I'm the most beautiful ever. Look at this hot bitch, hot girl summer every day. And then something terrible happens to her and she becomes all fractured, or, you know, in her mind, something like to that effect. But yeah, I'd love Melina, and I'm sure sales numbers would also love Melina, because she's like the Mai of Mortal Kombat now, it seems. Tremors next. I did play with him like a decent little chunk in MKX, the only game where he was like, you know, really, really officially playable. It was a cameo in MK1. I think there's untapped potential with this guy. I think you could do a million other different things with his origin and everything, his powers. But Earth-based ninja is just seems like a given. It always surprised me they took so long to put him in there, ever since his unfortunate origins as a Mortal Kombat Special Forces the game character. And overall I liked him in MKX, but you could probably do the same thing, or you could do something different, another spin on him, what have you. Maybe you make him a little bit more human and not this weird gravelly like sort of rock like man or something. Maybe just make it like a simple ninja just for a different Gundam. But yeah, I like Tremor, and I would imagine a few people would be like, oh, that's a good pick, super underrated. Now this would be really underrated if not for MK1. That kind of went a little hard on Havoc, maybe a bit too hard, because I personally don't think this guy has the potential to be the big bad of an MK game, but NetherRealm thought different, and they tried to make him as such in the DLC. I don't think exactly worked out, but I still appreciated his appearance nonetheless, along with a lot of the 3D era Mortal Kombat characters that did get included in that. But I still liked him. He was probably one of, like, along with Kenshi, probably my most well-liked 3D era character. There's one other, but we'll get to him in a bit. But Havoc, I kind of liked his regular Mortal Kombat 3D era Deception sort of guys, where he was like a priest of chaos, and he was always going on and on about that. And, you know, making more of like almost like a religious figure, like a leader and everything. Like, I think they didn't lean into that very, very much in Mortal Kombat 1, if memory serves. It has been a little bit, but yeah, Havoc, I just think he's cool. I think he's just sort of a different thing to have in there, and he's a wild card, you know? He could really shake things up. So I did not like what they did with Raiden in Mortal Kombat 1. At first I was kind of open to it, like, oh, okay, this is fresh, but like he just kind of faded into the background and really didn't do all that much, honestly. I do like the idea of doing something different with Raiden, but I still think you should keep him like a god. And maybe just not make him like the sort of clueless doofus he has been in the last couple games. I think he should just be a badass. Like, I love my Raidens when they just don't try to do too much. This Raiden always tried to do too much in the last bunch of games. Before MK1, I should say. I just like my Raiden being kind of mysterious and shadowy and badass, and he's always like kind of keeping his power level like purposely low because he would just body everybody else. That's the Raiden that speaks to me, and I would want him in there in any roster in Mortal Kombat game. I don't think he's missed one since MK3. I think he's been in every single one. Is that right? Yeah, he's Dark Raiden in Deception. I think he's been in them all. So yeah, let's keep that streak going. Why not? Yeah, Reptile's here. I did absolutely think they nailed it with Reptile in MK1. He's so much cooler and has way more depth to him, and it made sense. I liked it a lot because in all previous games, just kind of, even though he's cool, he just kind of came off as a jobber, you know? I wasn't really like into him that much in the modern NetherRealm games. Like, it's like, yeah, I'll do his fatalities and some of his specials are cool, but he just wasn't all that interesting anymore. You're kind of getting tired of him, but I feel like they really did something fresh with him. And then when they showed that Reptile trailer at, I think, an Evo like the other year, 2 years ago, people were going nuts for him. They're like, holy shit, Reptile is super cool now. So yeah, I would even like keep this as it is. Like, I like him being in human form and turning into a reptile form when needed, instead of being just like the weird alligator man he had been for the last couple of games. So big Reptile fan, and MK1 made me even more so. So I'd love to have him in this roster. I know I'm probably making y'all wait for this, but yeah, you kind of have to have Johnny now. And I know some people might be sick of him. I think they pulled it back at the last minute. Like, I'm glad they kind of pared Johnny's role down in Mortal Kombat 1 because he was getting too important. More important than he should have been, frankly, for my taste. Like, you know, I still think the voice actor for Johnny Cage does an incredible job. Great comic timing and everything. And I just think it would be, again, weird if he wasn't in it. That's why it was weird the first Mortal Kombat movie. Sorry, not the first one. The 2021 version. I just didn't have him, but I guess they're like, oh, I got to keep him for the sequel. People love him. Again, very, very Ken flavored that way. But yeah, like, I think instead of, you know, him being the, hey, well, I don't understand Mortal Kombat, what is it about? I think Sonya, like I said earlier, can fit that role, or another character, Nightwolf. I think Johnny could have been like, you know, been aware of the tournament, been training for it. Maybe we can have it like a slightly more serious one. Maybe he's like overly serious or something. There's a million things you could do with him, honestly, that would be a bit more interesting, because you just have to tweak it slightly. You just have to have sunglasses on him. He has to do a shadow kick, and he has to be a movie star. That's kind of it, you know? Because sometimes I think like they lean too much of the comedic weight on his shoulders, and no one else really like picks it up. So maybe you can move that over, or like dull it out a little bit, like kind of take Johnny and take like just a fraction of the comedic stuff he has to do and like spread it a little bit, like give more to Kano, maybe Sonya, I don't know, maybe Cabal. I don't know. But yeah, do something that's slightly more fresh with Johnny, but you still have to have him in. He's a requirement pretty much at this point. So he was not in MK1, but I think they did an awesome job of Fujin in MK11. And they first announced him to be DLC. I was like, really? Fujin? Okay. Because in Mortal Kombat 4, I disliked him greatly. I just thought he was so bland and kind of meh. I liked his redesign when he was included in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And I was like, okay, you know, I like him a bit more. And then when they added him into MK11, I was like, holy shit, he's awesome. Like, yeah, is he very similar to Raiden? Sure, but I think you can have two gods. That's totally fine, right? We're gonna have some bad guys pretty soon to balance all that out. But yeah, Fujin, they should just make him just exactly like MK11. I still think I'd be down for that version of him. Like, he's super cool. And they did enough to separate him from Raiden so they kind of feel pretty important and good on their own, and even better as a team. So yeah, big Fujin mark over here. Now, this next one might be slightly controversial. I have Kai. So, why Kai? Well, there's something to said about the underdog. Like, maybe there's a character that never really got their due. I think Kai is one of those. I think you should absolutely lean into him being a member of the White Lotus Society or a Shaolin Temple or something, and him kind of being like an outsider that wound up training there, like proved his worth. That type of thing. And like maybe he could actually play the Kung Lao role that Kung Lao usually plays to Liu Kang, and Kung Lao being the Liu Kang type, right? Obviously, you would have to have a complete move redo because his moveset in MK4 and MK Armageddon were not ideal. But it's just one of those characters where it's like, if you give him some TLC, he might really blossom and come into his own, you know? And I did actually like him in MK4, like just conceptually. I was like, that's fresh. It's a kind of a cool character. I was not down on him at all. But in Armageddon, I liked his redesign quite a bit. Cornrows gave him something a little bit, at least visually new. And I just think this character has untapped potential. Much like... Oh God, you guys aren't going to let me live this time. Cobra! Cobra! So... my idea with Cobra is that he's a huge rival to Johnny Cage. Like, he's another actor, but maybe he like had a failed acting career and Johnny like took his spot or something, or like he's Johnny's stunt double, that type of thing. I still want him to have like a hood. I just kind of like the Cobra Kai thing they were doing with him. His moveset really sucked, and like they didn't really expand upon him. Him just being a random Red Dragon member. Or was it Black Dragon or Red Dragon? I don't even fucking know anymore. Black Dragon member, that kind of made him lamer. I just think he should be the Rufus to Johnny's Ken. I think that's a strong idea. I don't know if y'all agree. I'm just saying, I think that would be awesome. I just like the idea of another just regular human that's just good at martial arts being thrown in there, because it's almost always Johnny. Like, I guess you could say that about Sonya, but she has all the military tech and weapons and stuff and training, blah, blah, blah. But I like to throw another human character in there, and like, I want him to be like almost like evil Johnny Cage, you know? Does this sound, am I converting any of you at all? I think this is a solid pitch. I mean, come on. Gotta have Noob. Gotta have him. Just love him. Even though I wasn't enraptured with his design in MK1, I still thought it was pretty good. They do pretty good stuff with him generally in the visuals, making him distinct other than just like, you know, a dark palette swap to ninja and stuff. And he's got lots of lore that you could twist around, expand upon, do whatever with. Just super evil shadow ninja is just like, come on, that's money, right? And you can never have enough ninjas. How many ninjas do I have for so far? 1, 2, I guess you count Jade, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe you count Melina, 7, and then 8. So we have 8. We got a few more coming, but I just think Noob is too cool of a character to leave out. So yeah, absolutely need to have him in my lineup. Well, you can't have a hot dog without mustard. So I don't know what you'd actually do with the Cyber Ninjas exactly. Maybe they don't even need to be Lin Kuei. Maybe they can be. Maybe Sub-Zero isn't Lin Kuei. You know, when you have all these factions and all these characters, you could do anything really. But I just think robots are kind of like now almost ingrained in Mortal Kombat in some shape, way, or form. I just think they bring something new. Like maybe ditch the whole like there's souls in them and they're humans. Like maybe they're just fucking robots. They're not people at all, and they're just like hunter killers, terminators, that type of thing. I wouldn't mind that. You do want to do something fresh with them, right? And when I say them, I mean also Sector. Good old ketchup and mustard. But I don't know, that's like 2 slots, right? It's a lot. We already have so many ninjas, so there's gotta be a better way to handle this. So that's why I want them to be a tag team. Yo, come on. You love this. Give it up. Much like Noob Smoke was in Mortal Kombat Deception, I just thought that was a really cool idea. I think ketchup and mustard fighting together in like a tag team, where it's almost like the ratio system from Capcom vs. SNK, where every character or almost every character here is like a 2, like in terms of their power scale. And Sector and Cyrax are 1 each, so they equal up to a 2. So each one has like, maybe like less HP, but that they both equal up to the same amount of like a regular HP character, like a Johnny or a Cobra or a Sonya. And yeah, they'd have all these sick tag team moves. I think it would be really cool if they're like this hunting pair that were hunting, maybe not even Sub-Zero, maybe Scorpion, maybe Sonya, they could do anything with them really. And I just think, this would be a nice little shakeup to make them feel fresh. Plus, I really like Triborg and MKX. I thought that was a cool idea. Like, that's admittedly even cooler. But, of course, because of a character we're going to be having a little bit later on, I don't exactly want Triborg again. So I just think ketchup and mustard together would be a money choice. Now, what's that smell? It's blood. Big fan of Scarlet in MK11. I thought they made her way cooler than she was in the Mortal Kombat 9 DLC. She just kind of struck me as just regular old ninja, has some blood moves and everything, but her making weapons out of blood and just being kind of this like blood magician, mage, or whatever you want to call her, I think they did a fantastic job with her. And I'd just say like keep her like that almost. Maybe switch up a design a little bit. Maybe even make her like a good guy. Maybe she hates her powers, but she's forced to use them type thing. Again, a character where you can definitely expand upon and do some neat things with. I think, Scarlet with a K, of course, was a fantastic addition in MK11. I'm really glad they expanded upon her there. And I'd like to see more expansion upon this blood goddess in the future. So as I cleverly hinted at before, I don't want Triborg because I want Smoke to be his own thing, and I want him to be human Smoke. And I want him to be an experienced, mysterious ninja. Actually, despite the GOAT, Yuri Lowenthal voicing him, it just felt like another fresh-faced ninja when kind of Scorpion and Sub-Zero were already kind of that in MK11, so it kind of felt 3 of the same character almost. But this time around, I would just want him to be like his own guy, like he's working for his own motivations and everything. Again, keep him mysterious. And I didn't really like some of the weapon and special move choices that they made with him in Mortal Kombat 1. So would I want him to be a carbon copy of Scorpion? No, not that either. But maybe something like a little bit new. Maybe they can make him into more of a smoke mage, where it's more magical rather than like ninja technology or anything they're doing in MK1. But yeah, I love Smoke. I've always, when I first saw Smoke in Mortal Kombat 2 peeking behind the tree going, "What's up?" I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And then when you saw him in game, you saw the puffs of smoke. It was just a cool character, Mortal Kombat, especially like in the earlier years, didn't have to try very hard to come up with cool characters. They were just sick as soon as you saw them from a visual standpoint. I guess because everyone was just still so into ninjas back then, and I think that proves to still be true in 2025 and beyond. Ninjas will always have an inherent coolness factor to them, and Smoke, arguably one of the coolest of them all. So who got fucked over the most in like Mortal Kombat lore and story? Well, I have to say it was Kotal Khan. I would love them to come back, maybe with like a rebooted origin and everything. Maybe he's not from Outworld, maybe he's from another dimension or like from the past, etc. But I just thought he was such a badass, and he just got so lame because of the story decisions made. Like when he came out in MKX, like, whoa, look at this fucking guy, yo. And then in MK11, they were just like, yeah, enough of that. No, he's just kind of a jobber now. And you're just like, oh, okay. I thought we were doing something really cool and big and different with him, and he just kind of, I don't know, he just jobbed out. That's all I can really say. And I think he should absolutely be back and given justice. I don't know exactly what role you would play with so many characters already, but I think it should be definitely a major one. And the whole sun god thing and blood sacrifices and everything, like he just felt such a fresh character. And it's like one of the few from MKX that I was like, yeah, like, because I was not a fan of Ferrator. As you can see, spoilers, I don't have Aaron Black in here, and a couple of MKX newcomers. And don't even get me started about the Collector. Don't even get me started. But, Kotal Khan was definitely a standout for me. And, justice for my boy. He got fucked over super hard. Got fucked over super hard too. Draven! He is a character. when I first saw concept art, because I remember when Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance was coming out, like concept art was just being leaked or shown beforehand, and I saw like his origin story. I was like, oh, this fucking guy, get into my boy's stable. I was like, this dude's so cool. He's so Mortal Kombat, just basically like this undead zombie demon guy, and he was just like the evilest motherfucker when he was human, and just has this cursed mask. Like, that's money. Shut up. I don't want drama. Shut up. This is my video. I would say, since he's only been in like one mainline game where, he had any story urgency, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, I would absolutely want him back. Oh, I was so mad he never even came back as a cameo. Wanted him real bad. Anyway, I think you could definitely do, a move reset. Some of his moves were a little silly. With the flies, just throwing fly balls. Okay, whatever. You do what you want, nothing wrong. But yeah, you could do anything with this dude. I don't think being a good guy is in line with him, considering his origin story or what makes him him. But yeah, big fan of Draman. You should be all Mortal Kombat games. You should all pray to the Church of Draman. So here's my super in their lore character. Hornbuckle? Nah, that's too surface level. We need Belloc. Who? You might be asking. Well, Belloc is I'm sure some of you know, was an actual character that was worked on and was in screenshots of Mortal Kombat Gold for the Dreamcast. They were a character that Eurocom were working on, and they were going back and forth with NetherRealm saying, hey, what do you think about this new character, blah, blah, blah. And they just couldn't finish Belloc in time. And that was it. You can still see some blurry screenshots from like a magazine. You just Google him, Belloc, Mortal Kombat. And yeah, people have done like fan art of him. I believe this is a fan art picture. I just found it on Google, and people have used it 1,000 times. So I don't know of its exact origins, but big ups to the artist that reimagined him, because you're looking at like blurry screenshots and you're trying to approximate what he actually looked like. But basically, I'm assuming he's just like another realm demon. And I just think like bringing that character back, it's like when Scarlet came in Mortal Kombat 9 in the DLC roster. And everyone like, holy shit, this is that one character. And even Tremor is similar to that. It's much like Ermac, I think Hornbuckle is maybe a little too silly, but Belloc would be sick. Him or Pantherk. You know what? Maybe we should get Pantherk in there. Well, I don't have a Panther next, but I do have a Taiga. I actually prefer Kintaro to Goro. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Goro. When I first saw Kintaro, I just like Dragon Man, but he's a tiger variant. Oh, get fucking in. And I always found his boss fight to be a bit harder than Goro back in the day. I'm sure like that's proven wrong now. You can just jump kick him to death or whatever. But I love Kintaro's slight redesign that he got in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I thought he was fucking cash then. I was like, holy shit, they did a good job with him there. I didn't quite like his redesign where he's slightly a little bit too more creepy cat-like, like the movie Cats. They kind of did some weird things with his facial structure where I'm like, hey, he looks a little sillier. I don't know. I kind of want to give him a treat instead of, scaring him there. But I still loved fighting him in Mortal Kombat 9. I really wish they had made those bosses officially playable and everything. But yeah, I would love Kintaro to come back in lieu of Goro. Because Goro, I kind of feel has been overexposed over the years. Like even in Mortal Kombat 1, he came back as a cameo, was obviously in MK9, and he was in MKX. Wasn't in MK11, obviously. Well, he was, but, he was kind of just chilling in the background because he was dead tired. So, ever since Mortal Kombat 4, Goro has been around. He missed out on Deadly Alliance. He came back in Deception. He was added somewhere into the 3D games and also in Armageddon and also in MK9. So I think it's Kintaro's time to shine. I would love him back in there. There's just something about him that just like it makes me think he's even more badass than Goro. I doubt this. I really hope he's going to be in that new Mortal Kombat movie, the one that actually will have a tournament, because Goro's fucking dead. Spoilers, but yeah, like Kintaro coming back, I'll be like, oh yeah, I I would be hooting and hollering if that happens. But yeah, Gataro's my pick. Not my only pick of one of the sub-bosses of this reimagined Matthew Mortal Kombat game. Because my next up is Motaro. I also was a huge mark for this dude in MK3. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Because I love the race of centaurs. I don't think they get nearly enough play. It was nice that he was added as a cameo in MK1, but that's all you really got from him. You didn't really like learn that much about him and everything, because you didn't really learn about anything about the cameos. But Motaro, I think you made him a playable character, actual horse guy, and not the weird satyr that he was in Armageddon, because they couldn't program 2 back feet or whatever. And I think that would be such a cool character to actually control. Like, you have been able to play as him in cheats and whatever in older Mortal Kombat games, but he didn't have like a full moveset and everything. But I would have Motaro be absolutely my second in command. Who would be my first, you ask? Well, that would be No! It would be Onaga, the Dragon King. Really sucks that they teased him multiple times in MK1, and I guess because the game is over, they just never were going to add him in, because they talk about him quite a bit. They're really hinting at him, and just, yeah, that is not a thing. Sorry. I think he was a real badass in Mortal Kombat Deception. I was all aboard the, all right, Shao Kahn who? Look at this dude. He's even bigger and tougher, and he's pretty much exactly like Shao Kahn. Maybe you could do something better with him, a bit more interesting. Maybe you could do him like a thing where he's actually like, maybe he just wants to create like a bunch of mass death and destruction for the greater good. Like, let's say Ozymandias and like Watchmen or something. I'm going to have to do this horrible thing, and like that will actually bring our worlds to fruition, to the promised land, etc., etc. So they still have to stop. And like, you know, very Thanos-like as well. You could throw that in there. But yeah, I think he's such an imposing figure, and we haven't seen him since Armageddon. It would be really cool if he was the new boss, because I think I'm kind of, let's cool down on Shao Kahn. Didn't actually like what they did with him in MK1, where he's not really the bad guy. He's just kind of being manipulated. Well, he is a bad guy, but he's just being manipulated. He's more or less a grunt. He's not really the main antagonist. So yeah, it was kind of like, if you don't have Shao Kahn in there being the ultimate badass, the ultimate baddie, and be the like main evil force, then I don't know, he's kind of lame, I guess. But yeah, for me, I would have Dragon King. I just call him Dragon King. Onaga, the Dragon King, what have you. I think you could probably do a really cool redesign with him as well. I mean, you don't have to redesign him much. It's already pretty cool, but yeah, he would absolutely be my pick for the main Meanie Bobini. And of course, you see one more slot down there, and you know, this is a big hear me out. This is a big hear me out. I know. Cole Young. Now, Cole Young is a controversial character because we ain't having him. No, of course not. Because it's Bo Right Show. Yes. Let me explain. Mr. G-Star 321 notwithstanding, I always kind of liked Bo Right Show. I thought he was a bit silly in the 3D realm, but I loved his voice acting. It's so jovial, and it did. Remember what I said before about Johnny always shouldering the comedic relief? I think Bo Right Show could take a good chunk of that. I think just having a sillier, but very still like accomplished martial artist that can still fuck you up would be a nice change of pace. I definitely think they should be a bit more bombastic in his design. When he was brought back just for MKX, his design was still so plain. Like, you need to have flashy colors. You need to be like exuberant, flamboyant, you know? So I would love it if he returned in a Mortal Kombat game. Again, I think you need that kind of like slight mix of like overly serious badass characters, and yeah, just have one that's a little bit on the silly side to balance things out just a tad. But I don't know. Yeah, there's probably lots of Mr. G-Star 32 fans there that are just like, no, absolutely not. Disgusting. And I get it. I know. There's been a lot of like anti Bo Right Show propaganda, but I think now it's time to bring it back. I kind of was doing that with Madame Bo, but I think it's time for Mr. Bo Right Show to return and for all of us to collectively slip and slide in his throw up. Anyway, that is my Mortal Kombat roster. Please feel free to go into the comments below and tell me how wrong I am, or what, actually let's be a bit more respectful. Tell me your Mortal Kombat rosters, like if there's certain characters you would love to see back, or there needs to be. We don't have to just antagonize me, you just tell me what you would like to see, versus there's so many Mortal Kombat characters, I actually have to make some tough choices. Some characters were close to getting in, and of course you could say there's like DLC roster, but I kind of want to focus these a little bit more so there's just one main roster and such, because you never know what's going to happen with DLC in the future. Hey, you know what? This game, my theoretical game, could come out and then 2 years later it'll just be gone. So maybe just have a full-fledged roster right from the start. Wouldn't that be nice, WB? Anyway, let me know what you thought of my make a lineup. And if you'd like to see any more in the future, maybe we could do Virtual Fighter, Tekken. You could probably do one with Tekken, given the state of Tekken 8 right now. But yeah, let me know what you thought, and I will see you next time in the Flophouse.